Looking at Gus because he always tells me how to hold the mic. So, good evening, everybody. So, as they pass around these papers and pens, I just want to say thank you to the core team. When the core team asked me to do this session, I smiled. Not like a happy smile, but a smile as in, are you serious? And the reason I'm going to share something about that, because I've struggled with this for the last 6 years. So it is sensitive, and when I share this, I request it to be kept here within these four walls. Yeah. So it is very sensitive. So 6 years ago, I was terminated from my current job. As the company was downsizing. My father at that point asked me to join the family business. And given that I was just married and a child on the way, I asked for direction from my spiritual guide, whether it was God's will. And he said it was. The dreaded yes. Might seem strange how it is dreaded, but I had to work with relations in my family which were not great. Very soon my work environment was not great at all. Eventually I became very cautiously vocal to members of my family, and gradually it became very, very ugly, to the point I didn't want to go into work. When I looked for counsel with my family, I got advice like, Alan, you need to prove yourself, or you're too sensitive, you need to stand up, don't take this lying down, etc., etc. But I thank God that I had solid spiritual guidance at that time. But yet, personally, I wanted to coil up and run. I thought about quitting so many times it's not funny, and this is true. I felt alone, misunderstood, abandoned, angry, upset, ashamed, embarrassed, and frustrated. I remember talking to my dad later on as time passed, and he quoted scripture and he said, Alan, you have a thorn in your flesh. So today, as I share this, the topic the core teams asked me to talk about is how to love your enemies. Okay? And I had one very, very close in our family. So I want to kind of deter for a minute from my story and ask you, have you in your life at any point had a difficult person, a job, a boss, a family member, a difficult relation in your life that you've had to deal with? Show of hands. Anybody? Good. So I welcome. So it's good to know that this is something that we have to. How do we deal with this situation? Okay, like I said in my story that I wanted to just coil up and run away. I didn't want to face it, but I had to because there was something bigger. So the question. So I'm going to put up this one slide. The question I had in these situations was. And my son keeps telling me this, Dada, we have to wake up Jesus sleeping in the boat. Okay, so when I'm dealing with a difficult person, difficult situation in my life, wake up Jesus is sleeping in the boat. Right? So this guy is really on my nerves, Lord. Why are you sleeping? Aren't you supposed to walk with me in my life? Aren't you supposed to be present? Lord, I'm feeling hopeless. All my friends at Come Alive keep telling me, don't lose hope, but it's going very fast. Right? So what do? I come to you in prayer, I go for mass, I come to you in prayer, but I'm not getting a McDonald's answer like, he's not going away from my life, he's still there. I've lived with this person for 6 years, he's still there in my life. He's not going away and he's not going to go. He's in my family. So maybe it's a certain situation you're dealing with now and you say, oh, thank goodness it's Lent. I'll pray for this guy for 40 days and he'll go away. There's some powerful thing in 40 in the Bible, right? So for 40 days I'll pray for him and whatever. But on Ash Wednesday I started reading a reflection, and this line from the Gospel of Luke caught my attention. So that's the first line. Okay, it says, Lord, will those who are saved be few? Okay, so I thought, if I endure this chapter for 40 days, will I be saved and not him? I'm hoping that the little smiles I got, that I'm not the only one who thinks like that, So, you save me, he's really irritating me now, so keep him away. Or he's really bothering me, right? The response Jesus gives is classic. It's a response only God can give. Okay, so this is the response. Strive to enter the narrow door. So I'm asking Jesus, will only a few be saved? Right? And I'm thinking, he should be going through the narrow door. Right? I mean, he's causing all the trouble in my life. I'm okay. I'm going for mass. I'm coming for Kamala meeting. I'm going for occasional confession. But this guy he's rubbing me off the wrong way. So why should I go through the narrow door? He should go through the narrow door. But Jesus is just telling us, if you ask the question, will only a few be saved? The answer is strive to enter the narrow door. So what's the narrow door? Now, love, like Bishop Robert Barron says, love is willing the good for another person. It's not romantic, movies and somebody said ding ding in the bell and whatever. It's not that. It is willing the good for the other person. So even though I might hate, literally in all my being, and I'm giving my example of my own family, I can't do this. I can't kind of bring myself to this meeting. I can't. But I have to do this for the good of the other person, or for the good of something better than, just you and me. And that is the narrow door that Jesus is asking us to follow. So love your enemies is a commandment. It's not whether you feel good or not so good today. It is a commandment. And that's the narrow door that we need to enter. Okay? So, sometimes we think, sometimes we think we are okay and we don't need to. Sometimes we think we have our share of struggles, and so I'm on the holy track. I'm good. I'm not the bad guy who don't come for mass, who are going to the pub or whatever. I'm not I'm not saying going to the pub is wrong, but I'm just trying to give you an example. I'm on the holy track, so I'm fine, right? But the perspective, I wanted to look at another perspective of how do we do this. So I looked at the head of our church. Everybody knows who he is, right? Who is he? Pope Francis, right? You mentioned it, okay? And I there was an interview some time back when this reporter asked him, who is Pope Francis? He's asking Pope Francis, and he said very simply, I am a sinner. And then he paused, and then he said, I am a sinner who has been gazed upon by the Lord. So I'm going to call Rachel and Jofsin here for a little demonstration of this, okay? Because I think we need to just pause for a bit here. So, come. So Rachel and Jofsin are right now going to act like they have. So for those who don't know, they are married, okay? But for the purpose of now, they are going to act like they're not married, okay? So before they got to know each other, right? So they're meeting each other they're seeing each other in the church compound, okay? So this is kind of scene one. I'm not a very good art, yeah? So they see each other and they pass each other. Now they're in love types, like married, okay? Okay? So now watch what happens. Okay, So when you now go back to, thank you guys. When you go back to what Pope Francis says, it puts things in perspective. Because sometimes when you read this, I'm a sinner. Because everybody say, sometimes you meet people, I'm a sinner, yeah, poor me, I'm a sinner. But no, I'm a sinner who's been gazed upon by, who gazes at you? Somebody who loves you. And that's the reason I brought them up, because they're married, and I guarantee, in my marriage, I guarantee I make mistakes. But yet, I'm loved because I'm gazed upon by. So it's not about, how you perform 24/7. No. It's about that relationship. So Jesus is saying to Pope Francis that I'm looking at you. And if he's saying I'm a sinner. So just to put that in perspective, strive to the narrow door. I am looking at you as a sinner, and yet I love you. So that's the perspective of what Pope is saying. Okay, so when before Pope Francis became Pope, he used to go to this chapel in church in Rome, and he used to like this painting. Okay, this painting. So just to give you a bit, it's called the Calling of Saint Matthew. Okay, so that's Jesus in the top corner, and he's pointing at Jesus. At Matthew like this, and this is Matthew here, right? And he's kind of. So if first of all, look at Jesus' hand. It's not like that, It's a very gentle pointing and calling of Saint Matthew. And if Nicole, you go into the next slide. I've just zoomed in to this action of Saint Matthew, and Pope Francis says he loves this picture because he's saying this is him. Because he's saying this is like, who you calling me? This is him. And if you look at the next slide, look at Saint Matthew. So first when I looked at it, I didn't realize that this hand here was Saint Matthew. I thought it was this guy's hand. But if you look at the matching whatever outfit thing, his one hand is still holding the money. So Pope Francis says, this is me. He's not saying you, he's saying this is him. That when Jesus called him, he first asked the question, the reaction, are you seriously calling me? Because I'm still attached to my sin. Okay, so very, very reflective. I thought it was beautiful. So even when one of the promises, which is not up today, but is I've called you by name, and he's called each of you. You're not here by mistake. Okay, you're not here by mistake. Even if you think, nothing to do, whatever I came. No, you're not here by mistake. You're called by name. And Jesus is trying to purge you to make you into the original way he wanted you to be. Okay, so I'm going to show you now a short clip. It's called God's Chisel. I'm only going to show you a short piece of it, and it kind of emphasizes what I'm trying to say.
To work on.
Okay, so just pause that.
Like your anger.
So what he says before this. So basically this kid, guys, is he's playing you and me, and this guy is playing God. Okay, so what he says before he starts this is, I'm going to call my Holy Spirit to help me chisel. Okay, so now carry on.
I created the emotion, but you use it in the wrong way. Compare yourself to others instead of me. You tell little white lies because you want to people please. You're lazy. But you try to fool everybody by looking really busy. You have a problem with lust?
Time out. I don't really have a problem with lust.
You don't have a problem with lust.
No, I can do it anytime I want. Hang on a second. I mean, I gotta admit, I feel like we've been doing some great work, and I'm looking pretty good right now.
All right, when you look in the mirror, who do you see?
I see me.
Okay, then I need to keep chiseling away because ultimately you and other people need to see my son.
Okay, don't misunderstand me. It's just when I look more like Jesus, people get uncomfortable around me. I mean, even my church friends, and they're like, "Oh, you're holier than thou," you know. And I don't think I'm supposed to make people uncomfortable.
So what you're saying is you'd rather play God in certain areas of your life than for me to be God over your whole life.
That is not what I said.
That's what you meant.
Yes, it is. It's hard to talk to you. You know everything that I'm thinking. I'm just saying you've done some great work. Maybe we take a break, a sabbatical from each other. You know, I'll stay right here, and then
That's just what you never just say right there. You're either moving toward me or away from me, but never you just stay. What you do is called control. Do you want to control things in life, or can I chisel? Control, chisel, control.
No, chisel.
All right.
But can we chisel where I want?
That's called control.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Now this right here, this secret sin that you keep running to whenever you're hurting, angry, lonely, tired, that you think you're fooling everybody, but it's making you a whitewashed tomb. Are you ready for me to chisel this out of your life?
Yeah.
See, it's a process. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. It's your whole life. And you care so deeply about what other people think of you. It's rubbish. It's garbage. The greatest thing you're ever going to hear is at the end of your life when you hear me say, "Well done, good and faithful servant." That's what you keep your eye on. That's the prize. Heavenward.
Oh, it hurts.
Oh, trust me, this hurts me more than it hurts you.
Right. Okay. I'm sorry. I don't think you understand this pain.
Pardon me?
You're asking me to sacrifice a lot, God.
Don't talk to me about sacrifice. I know all about sacrifice. I sent my son to die on the cross for pain, for sin, but I also did it for another reason, to give you freedom. Do you know what insanity is? Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting different results. And there are things that you've been doing for years. These empty wells that don't have anything to offer. You've been going to them, and it's insane. Allow me to chisel them out of your life. Allow me to produce character. You keep focusing so much on your image.
Okay, but I was thinking.
Your thoughts are not my thoughts.
Okay, but if we went another way.
Your ways are not my ways.
I can't.
You can't what?
I can't be good.
That's your excuse. That's your excuse is that you can't be good.
It's not an excuse. I can't.
Oh, my child. In the beginning, I said it was good. I made you good. Be good.
Yeah.
Okay. So I like this video a lot because perhaps the enemy or the difficult situation you're going through, God has permitted it. St. Augustine says, God permits bad things or unfortunate things for our purpose alone, to bring good out of the bad, to bring resurrection out of death. Okay, so if you have this difficult person, try to put this in perspective that God is working on you. He's not forgotten you, He's not abandoned you. Please remember that. Okay? So this is to understand what's happening, but how do I deal with it personally? How do we love? How do I deal with this person? Okay, Alan, great, nice talk and whatever, but how do I deal with it personally? So I thought, since we are in the season of Lent, we look at these 3 pillars. What are the 3 pillars of Lent? Of this, yeah, anybody? 3 pillars of Lent? They said it many times at the sermon, at least in Abu Dhabi they did. Many times. I'll give you one hint. Fasting. What are the other 2? Prayer and almsgiving. Right? So these are 3 pillars of Lent. So I thought we look at that. And, okay. So let's look at this one. So give, which is almsgiving. I'm not talking about monetarily giving, okay? This is now just being generous. So give of your time, forgive, and give it a new light. Which what I mean by that is try and understand from his or her perspective, the person who's giving you a difficult time. Try and look at things in a different light. Perhaps that will give you some peace or some understanding of what's going on. And it's not only, self-inflicted kind of thing. So try and give off your time, try and listen a little bit more, right? Forgive, take this to confession. If you're struggling with it, take it to confession and try and forgive. Even though, like Gustav shared with me earlier, it's this thing about Bishop Barron, love is willing the good for the other. It's not like sentimental love, but I want good for you, right? Okay, the next one is part of your handout, and I'm only going to touch on these three for now because we're running out of time. Sorry guys, I've gone a little over, but I just need 5 minutes more, yeah? So this is 3 out of the 11. You don't need to write this one down. This is part of your handout, okay? I'll give you. This is 3 out of the 11 that I'm going to give you. It's from Pope Francis, and what he says, alternatives to fasting from, sometimes we don't know, I'm going to give up chocolate for Lent. I'm going to give up alcohol. That's good, but your fast should be intentional. It should help your soul. So he suggests some of these, okay? So fast from grudges and be reconciled. Fast from worries and trust God. Fast from anger and be patient. And I'm going to give you 11 more. That's your kind of takeaway for today. So we won't go through all of them, but that's for you to take away today, right? So these are the 11 he suggested options you can look at fasting for, right? You do the next, and the last one is pray. Now for me personally, this is a big one. This is what has sustained me through this 6 years. Because I prayed for, Lord, I don't understand this. I don't know why I'm here. I don't know why you put me here. Help. So pray for myself to understand. Pray for the other person. And although I didn't do this often enough, Pope Francis says, if I know I have an enemy, I pray for him even more. Because you need to pray pray that his heart may be softened. You never know. And I've not done this enough. And I need to do this a little bit more. Pray for that difficult person in your life. And pray for the help to help you with this fasting. This season of Lent is filled with grace. The Holy Spirit is going to give you the grace if you make that one step and try. Yeah? Next you'll have to click a few slides to go to the last slide. No, click. Sorry. And the last slide, I'm going to leave you with this. It's right to the end. This year, our church is celebrating 100 years of the apparition of Our Lady in Fatima. Okay? And this is one of the things she says. Pray very much. And this is big, guys. This is really big. Make sacrifices for sinners. Many souls go to hell because no one is willing to help them with sacrifice. This is Pope John Paul praying at Our Lady's statue. Nicole, if you click. And then he goes and meets the guy who shot him. Make sacrifices for sinners. Many souls go to hell because no one is willing to help them with sacrifice. Yeah? So have a good